Imagine you are on a ship, far out in the big, wide ocean. Huge storms are hitting your ship, and you can hear the wood groaning and creaking under the strong waves. But the biggest danger, the thing that makes your heart beat fast, is not a fight with another ship or a scary sea monster. No, the real danger is much closer and much more personal. It's your own stomach. For a pirate, nothing was more terrifying than the thought of running out of food in the middle of the sea. When you see movies about pirates, they often show them having exciting sword fights and drinking lots of rum. But the real life of a pirate was much harder. It was a constant battle against food that went bad, barrels that became empty, and hunger pains that were so loud and painful they could probably scare away even the biggest sharks in the ocean. So how did these strong and brave pirates, who spent their lives on the rough seas, manage to stay alive for many months, sometimes even years, far from land? They didn't have modern kitchens like we do today. They didn't have refrigerators to keep food cold, or even a simple microwave to heat things up. It's a surprising story, sometimes a bit gross, about how pirates found clever ways to keep their food from turning into a soft, rotten mess. Salt. The pirate's best friend. Let's start with salt. For us, salt is just a small white powder we sprinkle on our French fries or add to our cooking to make it taste better. But for pirates, salt was everything. It was literally life itself. They used so much salt on their meat that it looked like they were trying to turn it into a mummy, and in a way they were trying to do just that. Keep it from rotting. Think about this. One barrel of salted beef was so heavy it could weigh more than 2 grown pirates put together. Imagine trying to move that huge barrel on a ship that was rocking and rolling in a storm. And the meat itself? Oh, it was incredibly hard and full of salt. You couldn't just eat it. You had to put it in fresh water for many hours, sometimes even for a few days, just to make it soft enough to chew. It was like beef jerky, but as hard as a brick. Eating it was a real challenge. But what happened if they started to run low on their precious salt? What if the barrels became empty? Pirates were very smart and found another way. They used the powerful sun. They basically became makers of sea jerky. They would carefully lay out thin strips of fish and meat on the ship's deck. They had to watch the sky very closely, like weather reporters. Because if even one wrong cloud appeared and it started to rain, boom! All their carefully prepared food would quickly become covered in mold, a green and fuzzy disaster. And then there were the seagulls. These birds were like little thieves, always trying to steal food. They saw the pirate ships as their own personal, all-you-can-eat buffet. Pirates had to set up special lookouts, people whose job it was to watch the food and scare away these flying robbers. It was quite annoying to have your dinner literally fly away. Pickles, the surprising lifesaver. Here's something that might really surprise you. Pickles. Yes, those tangy, crunchy vegetables actually saved many pirate lives. This is not a joke. Pirates would take any vegetables they could find, like cabbage, onions, and sometimes even pieces of meat, and soak them in a lot of vinegar. This wasn't just to make them taste different. It was a very smart, though perhaps accidental, way to fight scurvy. Scurvy was a terrible disease caused by not having enough vitamin C, and it killed more sailors than all the battles and storms put together. So, pickled cabbage, pickled onions, and even pickled meat, while they might not have tasted delicious, kept the pirates healthy, strong, and able to continue their adventures. Rum. More than just a drink for fun. Next, let's talk about the famous rum trick. Pirates didn't just drink rum to have fun, though they certainly did a lot of that. They also used it as a strong way to keep fruit and meat from spoiling. Imagine brandy pickled lemons. This was a secret weapon for pirates to stay healthy, avoid getting sick, and maybe even feel a little bit happy or tipsy. But let's be honest, a big part of those rum barrels probably got tasted and emptied a bit too early. A pirate had to do what a pirate had to do, right? Pemmican, the pirate's super energy bar. Are you still not amazed by how clever they were with their food? Then let's talk about pemmican. This was like the pirate version of a super strong energy bar for survival. It wasn't pretty at all. It was made from dried meat that was crushed, mixed with melted fat, and sometimes dried berries. All of this was pounded together into a very hard, dense block. It looked ugly, and it was definitely strange. But here's the amazing part. It could stay good for many, many years. Just 1 pound of this simple-looking, not-so-tasty block had a huge 3,500 calories. That's like a whole big meal for a pirate, all packed into a piece of food the size of your fist. It gave them the energy they needed for long trips and tough fights. And perhaps the most interesting thing about all these food tricks? Pirates didn't just come up with them on their own. They were very good at watching and learning from others. They learned valuable lessons from the native people living on the Caribbean islands, from Native American tribes, and from other sailors and traders they met during their travels around the world. They took little bits of smart ideas from everyone, mixed them with their own cleverness and their desperate need to survive, and created a way to keep food that, against all odds, helped them stay alive and strong on the most dangerous seas. Their survival wasn't just about being tough and fighting hard. It was also about being smart, being able to change, and having a deep understanding of how to keep food good, which is often forgotten in their stories. So next time you bite into jerky or pop open a jar of pickles, remember, you're not just having a snack. You're tasting history. Pirate history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this and want to discover more about the world of pirates, their adventures, secrets, and stories from the high seas, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. There's plenty more treasure waiting to be uncovered.